So, all right. You said you fell into Big Homie C.
Yeah, Big Homie CC, man. Like I said, I was watching an interview that he did, and man, the guy was not only was I captivated by the information and the knowledge that he had, but the way that he was able to articulate very, very educated intellect. He put the information. Of course, he would be considered. I don't want to call him a whistleblower, but at the same time, if you had to group him, with the category, it would be that. You know what I mean? More so, whistleblowers usually have seen or have had experience, with whatever it is that they're talking about. Where Big Homie does have that, you know what I mean? But just not in reference to the whistleblowers that are being called to Congress right now. He actually protects them. He's a bodyguard. He does, I think, full-time bodyguard, but now he's actually doing some amazing work, scary work. He's getting women and children back from that have been caught up in sex trafficking. So he goes after sex traffickers. Yeah, he goes after sex traffickers. I believe he works with former Navy SEALs and Rangers and other ex-military, or maybe even current military, and is getting people back to their families, man. So, once I started to hear all that and started to really key in on what he was saying, I started to pay attention. You know what I mean? Because I think he's just a phenomenal person. You know what I mean? But I guess one of the biggest things that kind of caught my mind is he's Christian, and I think, well, he would say, let me not say that. I believe he said that he was Christian, but he definitely said he follows Jesus.
Okay,
and that's amazing because there aren't too many people, you know what I mean, that I know of, you know what I mean, that are outspoken, especially about UFOs and things of that nature, that still maintain their Christianity or still maintain that they follow, Jesus. And I'm just like that. You know what I mean? I try my best to follow Jesus. If I had to check a box, it would be Christianity. But I'm a free thinker. And I'm not, I don't try to keep myself limited to having to think that a certain narrative always has to be what it is. Things can come about, things that were facts 2 days ago are not facts today. You know what I mean? And things that were proven a year ago aren't proven the next year, are debunked or whatever you want to say. So information's constantly changing. We're constantly learning new things. And if you don't allow yourself to be open-minded and you don't allow yourself to be a free thinker, you're just going to get caught up in what the masses are being shown to think, as in programmed.
Right.
And that goes on a lot too, especially programming. That's huge and very rampant in propaganda and whatnot, and social media and whatnot. So again, to answer your question, so listening to him, I started to listen to other people. Like, he was name dropping, you know what I mean, certain people, especially Stephen Greer, who's like the godfather of this stuff. You know what I mean? Stephen Greer has been doing this since the 90s. And he's, gone to Congress, testified. He is, briefed, a plethora of, national security, personnel on the matter, and is really very, very vocal that it's coming. You know what I mean? The time is now. You know what I mean? The government needs to say something, because sooner or later, probably way sooner than later, either we're going to make contact and they're going to expose themselves, whatever they are, or, we're going to expose the fact that we already know what they are because they've already been here.